I'm not sure. I don't buy for a minute that he's going to prison without getting out of here somewhere and stashing $2 billion or whatever. I think he has that kind of power, meaning Sean himself. But remember, it goes a lot deeper than that.
You know, there's a short life in
Why do you think that is with the creative side?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take. You're going through so much to try and deal with.
Terrence Howard's explosive revelations about his encounters with Diddy have sent shockwaves through Hollywood, ripping the veil off its polished surface. This wasn't just a story, it was a detonation, and the aftershocks are reverberating fast. Once seen as an untouchable titan of culture, Diddy now finds himself at the heart of allegations so strange and disturbing, they could be ripped from the pages of a twisted crime thriller. But this isn't some work of fiction. It's a raw glimpse into the entertainment industry's darkest corners, and Terrence Howard is the one forcing it into the light. Would you like this styled more like a news article or an op-ed?
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what
At the core of it all is Terrence Howard's unsettling claim that Diddy drew him in under the pretense of friendship and professional collaboration, only to reveal motives that had little to do with art. According to Howard, it wasn't about music or movies. It was about control, about pushing the limits of integrity and masculinity. Diddy's parties, long shrouded in mystery and rumored excess, have always sparked curiosity in industry circles. But Howard described something far more insidious, a kind of vortex where the lines between right and wrong blurred, where power was the currency and where, as he put it, some of Hollywood's most celebrated men surrendered their manhood just to remain in the inner circle. Want to keep the tone intense and investigative or dial it back a bit?
It was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid,
This isn't just a tale of one man's unease. It's a stark warning about the consequences of unchecked power. Terrence Howard didn't hold back as he spoke of the mental and emotional weight that came with even briefly entering that world. According to him, once someone crossed a certain threshold, there was no return. You could see it, he said, in their eyes, in their behavior, in the way they struggled to carry the burden. Many of the figures linked to Diddy's notorious gatherings, some named, others only alluded to, are now facing personal battles of their own. And Terrence made it clear, he only just managed to avoid becoming one of them. Would you like a version of this that includes more direct quotes or sticks to a third-person narrative?
I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
they can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head.
What makes Terrence Howard's account even more powerful is how he used his personal experience to launch a broader indictment of the entertainment industry as a whole. He didn't just single out Diddy, he called out the entire ecosystem. The enablers, the silent observers, the insiders who looked the other way while predatory behavior flourished. Howard spoke of artists and actors who compromised their values for roles, deals, and fleeting fame, painting a picture of an industry where integrity is often the first casualty. He even challenged the very idea of success, asking what it's really worth if attaining it means sacrificing your soul. Want the next section to continue in this tone or shift toward reaction and fallout?
Look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at. He has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on.
Then there's 50 Cent, the king of controversy and a master at turning scandal into spectacle. Known for his blunt takes and fearless exposure of industry secrets, he's been dropping cryptic breadcrumbs that hint he knows far more than he's saying. His social media is littered with posts laced with eerie captions like "no comment" or "God help us all," each one stoking the fire further. Now with a docuseries in the works that promises to rip the lid off everything, 50 isn't Just stirring the pot, he's positioning himself as both whistleblower and provocateur. But this isn't just about drama for clicks. He's framing it as a moral mission, aiming to expose the quiet coercion black men in Hollywood face, pressured into silence or submission just to survive in an industry built on power plays and compromised dignity. Want this spun more for a general audience or kept edgy and behind the curtain like this?
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking.
Then there's Terrence's own journey, a maze of close calls and sacrifices that underscore just how high the stakes really are. He recalled how his assistant once cautioned him about Diddy's true intentions, how he made the sudden decision to cut ties, and how, in the aftermath, he watched countless career opportunities vanish. For Terrence, this wasn't simply about one man's power play. It was about a deeply rooted culture, a system built to push boundaries and see just how much someone was willing to compromise for access, influence, and a seat at the table. Would you like help structuring all these rewritten paragraphs into a full article or feature piece?
To not be involved with a famous singer, to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those. This is what I heard. They're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties, he was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out.
Then there's Terrence's own journey, a maze of close calls and sacrifices that underscore just how high the stakes really are. He recalled how his assistant once cautioned him about Diddy's true intentions, how he made the sudden decision to cut ties, and how, in the aftermath, he watched countless career opportunities vanish. For Terrence, this wasn't simply about one man's power play. It was about a deeply rooted culture, a system built to push boundaries and see just how much someone was willing to compromise for access, influence, and a seat at the table. Would you like help structuring all these rewritten paragraphs into a full article or feature piece?
Now you know to be hands-off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept.
This all leads to a deeper, more pressing question. What is success really worth if it comes at the cost of your integrity? Terrence Howard didn't hold back. He laid it all on the table. He spoke of actors who bartered their dignity for awards, who signed away their self-respect in exchange for fame. And he didn't exempt himself from scrutiny, admitting he's faced moments where compromise was tempting. But unlike many, he chose to draw a line. He walked away from lucrative deals rather than betray his principles. His revelations have done more than stir controversy. They've ignited a firestorm of speculation. Whispers are growing louder, names are circulating, and the industry is holding its breath. With 50 Cent's upcoming docu-series promising to unearth even more, the tension is mounting. But this isn't just about one man or one scandal. It's about a culture built on silence, complicity, and the high cost of staying in the room. The reckoning has begun, and Hollywood may never look the same. Would you like me to compile all these rewritten sections into a cohesive full article draft?
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that because the man card means everything.
Just when it seems the story has reached its climax, new layers continue to emerge. Terrence Howard's bold public statements have cracked the dam wide open, inspiring others to step forward with their own disturbing accounts. While many remain anonymous, the stories they're sharing are chilling, marked by cryptic warnings, veiled threats, and experiences that sound more like psychological thrillers than real life. And yet, this is the reality behind the facade. In an industry where image is everything and reputations can rise or fall overnight, the rules are shifting. The truth, no matter how unsettling or chaotic, is breaking through. Terrence's decision to speak out may have lit the fuse, but the explosion is far from over. The only question now is, who's next? Would you like me to pull all the rewritten parts together into a single narrative now? Just when you think the chaos couldn't spiral any further, Terrence Howard's story takes a sharp turn that forces you to question everything. Though he managed to break free from Diddy's orbit largely unscathed, his revelations have now put a target on the backs of those who weren't as lucky. What's unfolding isn't just about one man resisting a toxic culture. It's about the ripple effect, the collateral damage, and the names once whispered in hushed tones that are slowly beginning to surface. And let's not overlook the glaring question. If this is what Terrence is willing to reveal publicly, what remains hidden in the shadows? Would you like any further adjustments or additions to this section?
It's getting hot. Yeah, it absolutely is. Another layer to this story, Anne-Marie. A federal investigation into Combs has been ongoing, but he has not been charged with a crime.
The industry's response, or more accurately, the absence of it, has been deafening. The silence from key figures, many of whom were regulars at Diddy's infamous gatherings, is as telling as it is chilling. Where are the denials, the rebuttals, the lawsuits? Instead, what we're witnessing is a collective retreat, a sudden disappearance by those who have too much at stake to even acknowledge the storm brewing around them. And that silence? It speaks volumes. In Hollywood, when people stop talking, it's not because there's nothing to say, it's because saying anything might open a door they've spent years trying to keep shut. Meanwhile, Diddy has remained conspicuously silent, a stark contrast to his usual larger-than-life persona. This is a man who once thrived in the spotlight, built an empire on charisma, and dominated the room with his presence. And yet now, nothing. No statements, no clarifications, just an eerie, unsettling void where his voice used to be. It's almost as if he's waiting for something, though no one can say exactly what. Perhaps he's betting on the industry's notorious short memory, hoping this will all blow over if he keeps his head down long enough. But with 50 Cent's upcoming docuseries looming like a guillotine, that strategy feels more like a gamble than a plan. Would you like to adjust the tone, add more details, or explore another aspect of the situation?
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
Let's take a moment to talk about that docuseries because it's shaping up to be nothing short of explosive. 50 Cent has made it abundantly clear that he's not pulling any punches, teasing that the series will not only expose Diddy, but also shine a spotlight on an entire network of enablers and participants. The scale of what he's alluding to is nothing less than staggering. This isn't just about a few bad choices or questionable gatherings. It's about a culture, a system, an entire ecosystem built on influence and exploitation. While 50 Cent has always been a master of self-promotion, his ability to deliver on his promises is hard to overlook. When he says he's got the receipts, people are taking notice. And you can bet they're scrambling to understand just how devastating those revelations might be. Would you like this to flow directly into a section about the potential fallout, or focus on the anticipation surrounding the docuseries?
He, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement.
Yeah.
He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down.
Let's take a moment to talk about that docuseries, because it's shaping up to be nothing short of explosive. 50 Cent has made it abundantly clear that he's not pulling any punches, teasing that the series will not only expose Diddy, but also shine a spotlight on an entire network of enablers and participants. The scale of what he's alluding to is nothing less than staggering. This isn't just about a few bad choices or questionable gatherings. It's about a culture, a system, an entire ecosystem built on influence and exploitation. While 50 Cent has always been a master of self-promotion, his ability to deliver on his promises is hard to overlook. When he says he's got the receipts, people are taking notice. And you can bet they're scrambling to understand just how devastating those revelations might be.
Back to the evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right? More than 24 years ago. But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who saw her.
And Justin Bieber isn't the only one. There are whispers circulating about other artists, actors, and public figures who were once drawn into Diddy's orbit, only to emerge years later with emotional scars they're still struggling to conceal. Some have spoken in vague terms, hinting at experiences they're not yet ready to fully unpack. Others have remained silent, and their refusal to comment raises even more questions than it answers. Then there are those who seem to be in denial, clinging to the belief that if they simply keep their heads down, they can weather the storm. But as the saying goes, the truth always finds its way out, and when it does, it rarely does so on anyone's terms but its own. Even Jay-Z, a figure so powerful and untouchable he's long been seen as above the fray, has been pulled into the narrative. His past relationship with Diddy, once characterized by mutual respect and admiration, is now being scrutinized under a microscope. The resurfaced footage of Diddy calling Jay-Z family and the stories of their close bond are now being reevaluated in light of the current scandal. And while Jay-Z has been quick to downplay their connection, the optics speak volumes. If someone as calculated and influential as Jay-Z is distancing himself, what does that say about what's really happening behind closed doors? Would you like to explore further the reactions of these public figures or shift focus to the ongoing impact of the revelations?
And there has been a lot going on. Since November, there have been 8 civil lawsuits filed against Diddy. 7 of them accuse him of.
But there's another layer to this that no one seems to be addressing: the financial stakes. Diddy's empire isn't just built on cultural influence. It's a web of business ventures, partnerships, and investments that rely heavily on his public image. From luxury brands to entertainment networks, his name carries weight, and that weight translates directly into profits. The more these allegations spread, the more those partnerships are at risk. Already whispers are emerging from insiders claiming that some of Diddy's biggest corporate allies are quietly reevaluating their ties to him, weighing whether the bad press is worth the association. The irony here is thick. This is a man who built his brand on being untouchable. And now that very brand might be what brings him down now.